Today I want to make a different video and I want to share with everybody about some of the books that I have published and more information on where you can find them if you're interested in buying a copy of them yourselves. Now, many may not know, I've been a self-published author for a couple years now. The first book I ever published was back in 2022 of July when I first graduated from university with my Bachelor of Science in Biology degree. And ever since then, I've been continuing to publish books and kind of keep up with some research that I personally think is really relevant and something passionate that I want to see changes in. The two biggest genres I really like to write about are nonfiction and current issues and current events, and finding ways through some research or just through my own personal takes how we can solve those problems and make the world a better place for everybody. So, generally speaking, the series of the books are generally within the law and medicine when it comes to the topics. So I have a couple of books relevant to medicine and nursing, and the other ones, which is something I'm also passionate about outside of my career in medicine, is the legal system, the Constitution, and how it's good to have a constant updated government and legal system. So those are the things I'm really interested in, and I'd be more than happy to share with you. The reason why you don't see me advertising my books on the platform is because I don't want to be considered like a sellout or a salesman or any type of like god in sales or anything. So again, my whole take on it is not just be a sellout, but I did want to share it in case if a few hundred years from now or however long this video is on YouTube, if anybody's interested to see in terms of the books I've published and if they want to consider reading it. You can all access them through Barnes& and Noble. That's the website I use to go and self-publish the books, and they're generally a reasonable price. I try to keep it as affordable and as cheap for everybody. And my intention is not to make money or like be a sellout. It's just to kind of share my publications with the world. So I hope you enjoy it.
The first book I ever published in my career was back in July of 2022. I spent about a year publishing the book as this took quite some time, and it took me a whole year of my senior year of undergraduate to compile and write and publish this book. And this talks about the much needed updated Constitution for our United States of America. And you can see the description down there. You're more than welcome to pause and take a look at it. But this is the very first book I ever published, and I was personally proud of this achievement. A little less than a year later, I actually began writing my second book whilst I published my first book. And this is still relevant to rights, privileges, and more about the Constitution, like it was regarding the first book I published. So this came out on February 2023 as of the publishing date, and this was right after I graduated my undergraduate degree in biology, and I was actually taking a job as a retail store prior to applying to my nursing school. So this was the second book I published. And as always, the description is right there for you to see. The third book I actually published was not relevant to the topic of the first two books I published. Again, this was later on within the same year. I published this book in August of 2023, and actually this was during the first couple months I started my nursing school. So during the first few months of my nursing school, I actually was looking into publishing this book, and out of all the other books I've published, this is the shortest number in terms of pages. As you can see, it is only 50 pages, but it has some good information, and I want it to be a simple yet very detailed book to read. It was talking about two things I liked, which was nursing, surgery, and how maybe training nurses to do some minor surgical procedures can help offset the stress surgeons face in the healthcare system. This was the first book I published in relation to anything regarding my nursing program or my medical program. The fourth book I published was in October of 2023, so this was closer to the end of the second semester of my nursing school. And instead of writing another book on medicine, I decided to go back to making an updated version of the very first book I ever published, which was regarding the Constitution, law, and government. This book is a continuation of the first book with some minor changes here and there to kind of reflect some new ideas and concepts I have learned during that time. My fifth book was actually published about a couple weeks after I finished my nursing school. And you may notice this one is slightly different in the fact that it is actually published in German. So whilst I was in my nursing school, I actually kept a personal written journal of all of my clerkship experiences and what I encountered, how I felt, and how I think certain experiences could help better improve patient care and the healthcare system. I actually took German classes before I started nursing school, and in order to kind of keep up with my German, I decided to integrate it with my nursing clinical journal. Obviously, I had English ones that I had to turn in as assignments, but I generally kept this one in German. And once I finished my nursing school, I decided to make a compilation of all of the clerkship experiences I had throughout the various specialties, and I've decided to publish a book on it. I don't have an English version yet, but in the future I will consider to see if there's a way for me to translate this German version into English. But this is the other book that covers something relevant to medicine and nursing. Last but not least, we come to the latest book I have published so far. This book was published in November of 2024, which at the time of this recording was last month. This is also a continuation of the much needed updated Constitution series, and unlike the other two, this one is much more straightforward and much better organized. The previous two books were kind of all over the place, and it was kind of difficult to read and get an idea for what ideas I wanted to see implemented. So this one is much more easier to read. It's more reader friendly, but out of all the three books in the series, this is the longest in terms of having the most number of pages. Well, that's pretty much it. That's all the books I had to showcase. In the future, if I'm able to write some more books, I'll try my best to maybe upload another video and explain more of those new books. But for the time being, if you are interested in buying yourself a copy, you can go on Barnes& and Noble's website and get a copy yourself. Many thanks for watching if you're able to listen to my showcase of books. As always, take care and cheers.